Travis Colt.
Yes, Kevin Hawk.
How many cruiserweights does it take to screw in a light bulb?
7.
None.
No?
Because there are no more light fixtures. Because they blew the roof off the place.
I like that.
That's right, peeps. This is the thing we've been excited about since, what, December?
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever, when we first heard about it.
So it's been
7 months in the making.
It's been a long time.
We get the first episode, the first 4 matches, the first round of the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yes. And right off the bat, it is completely different from anything you'd see in WWE.
Absolutely.
From the ring itself to the entryway to the way the matches start, everything is just, it's its own entity. It is so different, which makes it so much more fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a thing unto itself. You can obviously tell they put tons of work into it. They had purple Cruiserweight Classic turnbuckle pads. They had a whole new entranceway, even though they were at Full Sail where they do NXT.
Yeah, they had a canvas where in 2 corners had the tap out symbol. The others it was the CWC logo. Each match started with the referee reminding them of the we talked about the rules in the back, doing a handshake, and
what I like is that before every match, each person got a small 30-second video package.
That too. And it really helps set the stage even more, rather than we've got these 4 matches, but here's a look at this guy and this guy. You literally get a look at each person before the match starts.
And they even get cool pre-match graphics.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's straight up video game style. The whole intro is different little video game characters with the different flags as their attire fighting each other, and it's such a cool new concept that they've come up with for this tournament. It was fantastic to watch. So we'll get right into our first match.
Absolutely.
A very interesting matchup. Gran Metalik, representing Mexico, taking on Alejandro Saez, representing Chile. Alejandro, they talked about it. He's not even he's the first professional wrestler of Chile. He actually went and learned professional wrestling. He taught himself from YouTube videos, and he brought professional wrestling to Chile.
Yeah.
That is, it blows my mind.
And on top of that, he's a guy who had to commit to dropping almost 30 pounds to make weight for the Cruiserweight Classic.
And then on the other side, you have Gran Metalik, who's faced a ton of top-notch stars in the wrestling world. Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, Finn Balor, just all these stars that you hear about on a regular basis nowadays. Gran Metalik has faced these guys. And now he's getting a chance to show what he knows, his Lucha Libre style, in the Cruiserweight Classic. And it was a very interesting matchup, and it was a great way to really, it was an interesting pace to set, but it was a good pace to set.
And it was kind of cool watching it because neither of us had any idea what to expect from Alejandro Saez.
No, not at all.
Because, he's just a complete wild card.
Yeah.
Someone we had never heard of before.
Which is hard to come by with this guy.
Yeah. And it's so when you have somebody that you've never heard of before, and you've never seen them before, and they're relatively, they're from a place where wrestling isn't even really a thing.
Yeah.
And to have them show up and do this, I think is even more so of a big deal for them. For those people who have never had anywhere near the exposure. I mean, it's not even, the fact that they're on the WWE Network, I think, is icing on the cake. but I would have to say that in my head, I'm thinking there's no way like Alejandro Saez ever wrestled in front of that big of a crowd either.
No. And on top of that, with the fact that he had such a major weight drop, we're thinking this is a guy who's going to go out there and go so much more physical as opposed to flashy, high-flying.
Yeah, and even the way he's built, the way he looks like he's going to be the power guy.
Yeah.
But he really did everything he could to keep up with the Lucha Libre style that Gran Metalik had.
Yeah, and he did a fantastic job. He did...
running shooting star press off the apron to the outside.
And he did the spiral tap from the top rope.
He did a springboard dropkick.
Yes, and it was so surprising coming from a guy who, yeah, like you said, we didn't know what to expect, and we got more than we expected.
Yes, absolutely.
And it was such a fun match. Gran Metalik is fantastic at what he does. No slip-ups. He hit everything exactly the way he needed to. And it was a fun...
Yeah, his dive was rad too because he jumped from the middle rope inside the ring over the ropes to the outside with a cool front flip.
And he had the cool little escape where he like jumped up on the second rope and like twirl walked to the corner, and it was just he's got some great balance. Both these guys have amazing in-ring work, and it was fun to watch them face each other.
Yeah. And that was really refreshing watching Gran Metalik on a WWE show because they've had the Cruiserweight division in WWE before, and they've had, Eddie and Chavo Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and the Mexicools and all this, but, none of those guys ever really got to showcase true Lucha Libre style.
I think, the closest we've gotten is recently with Kalisto.
Yeah, and so to see him bust out the stuff that you only really see on Lucha Underground, with the way he evades and the way he balances himself on the ropes while he spins and does double jumps and stuff like that. Yeah, that's you don't see that except for on Lucha Underground here in the States.
Yeah.
As far as televised shows is concerned.
Yeah, so it's extra refreshing to see it happening in WWE. And it really felt like none of these guys had limitations.
Oh, absolutely.
It was legitimately go out, do your thing, show what you got, and they did exactly that. I mentioned Alejandro Saez goes for the spiral tap, but is unable to complete it. Gran Metalik gets out of the way, sets up, and hits a cradle driver, and Gran Metalik moves forward to the second round of the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, it was cool. And I think he was our prediction to take that match.
Yes. Yeah, all of these matches, the guys that we picked after looking over the initial bracket, we were 100% on who was moving forward in these first four matches.
Absolutely.
So moving on to our second one, talking about a guy who created something as far as wrestling, Ho Ho Lun. He
created the first ever wrestling promotion in Hong Kong.
Yeah. So that right there is just an amazing feat in its own. And then on the other side, you have a guy, Arya Daivari, who his family has already wrestled with the WWE, and he's looking to not only continue that legacy but really stand out from his brother. And it was once again you get both sides of the story. You really get to understand what both of them are trying to do in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Yeah, and this one starts out a little bit differently because we have Daivari refuse the handshake at the beginning of the match.
Yeah, so right off the bat, getting heel points by disrespecting the I guess you could call it the code of honor, which is what they're trying to go for. It's friendly sportsmanship.
Or like you watch the UFC, the referee usually always instructs them to touch gloves before they fight.
Yeah. And so Arya Daivari immediately taking that heel route, which was good for him because he was really already portrayed as a heel as far as the crowd favorite. The crowd was already behind Ho Ho Lun from the start.
You know, and he had that cocky attitude in his video package.
Yeah.
And then basically the whole match, you know, was him definitely using the fact that he was a lot bigger than Ho Ho Lun.
Yeah, he he had like 25 pounds on Ho Ho Lun, and it had like 5 inches.
And Ho Ho is a guy who's naturally just built really small.
He is. You could consider him dainty.
Absolutely.
He is a dainty little Chinese man.
And then, you know, if there's anything that seems to run in the Daivari family, it's that those guys are incredibly fit.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, they're, for being small guys, because Sean Daivari is also not a very big guy, but both him and Arya are, like, buff and jacked.
Yeah, they're jacked dudes.
They're big cruiserweights.
Most of the match was in favor of Arya Daivari, though Ho Ho Lun has a very unique drop kick.
Yeah, he likes to hit it from really high angles.
Yeah, it's like rather than just straight on or like a missile drop kick, he like comes down at like a 45-degree angle with his drop kicks, and it's so different, which makes it so much cooler.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. It's like, I look at it from a physics standpoint, is that he's so much smaller, he's gonna make it the drop kicks with as much of his weight downwards as possible.
Yeah.
Versus trying to kick outwards, which is only, you know, so much force of your body.
They're just kind of pushing the person.
Versus actually trying to almost, you know, some of them when he's coming down is almost like double stomps.
And the first one was like directly to the back of the neck of Daivari while Daivari was seated. And it was the weirdest setup too. He like rolled him through with a snapmare and like lifted his hand, and I was expecting a chop, and instead he jumps up in the air and just drop kicks him right in the back of the neck. Yeah. And it was just I didn't know what to expect from this guy.
And definitely a huge crowd favorite.
Oh yeah. No, they were chanting for him the entire match.
Yeah, and trying to come up with as many different ways as they could chant his name.
Yeah, they did the Olay chant. They did. They
just started doing the Seven Nation Army's White Stripes. Music.
It's I'm very interested to see where he goes further in this tournament, if he does.
He's a total dark horse in this tournament.
Yeah.
As a guy who I think you wouldn't expect to win, but has the potential to take it all the way.
And very much in that sense, that's kind of how this match went. Was he got dominated for so long, made a comeback, ended up hitting. He hit a knee to the back of the head and then a super kick to knock down Daivari. Daivari kicks out, but then Ho-Ho's able to hit what apparently is his specialty, a bridging German, and beats Arya Daivari, moving forward into the second round.
Yeah, I like the way Ho-Ho does the German suplex too, is he uses momentum because he holds onto the opponent's tights and pulls him into the German, so he has the lift to get them over because he's a small guy.
Yeah, so it's got a little snap effect, and then he's got a fantastic bridge that he adds to it. Moving on to our third match, one of my favorites in the tournament, Cedric Alexander, looking nothing like he did in Ring of Honor.
Yeah, that's saying something because that was only like 2 months ago.
Yeah,
when we were watching him in Ring of Honor.
I didn't even realize he was gone from Ring of Honor until I found out that he was going to be in the Cruiserweight Classic. I was like, so yeah, he's done with Ring of Honor.
And then I remember when I texted, because I watched the introduction to the Cruiserweight Classic entrance before you did. Yeah. And I texted you that Alexander was like shredded. Yeah. And you gave me like a skeptical response.
I was like, oh yeah. Like for me, I expected him to still look beefy, but maybe some extra, very Akira Tozawa like. But no, he is legitimately half the size he was. It is a fantastic transformation, and he used this extra light body frame to fly around this ring.
And I mean, he's a guy who already was good at doing high-flying moves. Mm-hmm. He emphasizes springboards especially well.
Does the 450.
In his all-around game. And just the idea that now he's got like 25 less pounds than he did when he was in Ring of Honor, that he's got a lot more aerial ability in that sense that, I think it adds to helping body control and just how high you can go, which he demonstrated because he hit a hell of a springboard clothesline. He got major airtime.
Yeah. But before we gush about Cedric Alexander, on the other side we had Clement Patui, trained by Lance Storm, and this guy was all about physicality.
Yeah, he's the no-nonsense guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't play to the crowd. He doesn't do the flippy-doos. He doesn't do anything risky. Everything he does is calculated.
Yeah.
So it's like
He's very technical.
The phrase they used to use a lot for guys like William Regal or Chris Benoit is like no wasted motion.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like it was, he never took an unnecessary risk.
Yeah.
It was everything he did had a purpose and was intended to help him win.
Yeah. A fan of gut-wrench suplexes.
Suplexes in general.
Yeah, suplexes, very stiff strikes, some good clotheslines. One good clothesline
the discus lariat.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's kind of his signature move, because he hit it once and Cedric Alexander backflipped out of that fucker, and just
it looked really good.
It was an amazing sell, and that ultimately was his undoing because he'd go for a second one, which, after being hit with the first one, Cedric Alexander knew what to be looking for, was able to duck it, hit lumbar check, and Cedric Alexander is now moving on to the second round of the Cruiserweight Classic.
And this is, the next match ties in a cool way because both the third and fourth match of the show are in the same opening bracket.
Yeah, it's literally the winners of these two matches face each other in the second round. It's our first official second round match.
Yeah, so the first two matches had no implications.
Yeah.
They're both on the left bracket of the left side.
Yeah, let me go to my bracket real quick. Go ahead and keep talking about
that. But they're like 3 matches apart.
Yeah.
As far like 2 or 3 rounds apart before they'd have to fight each other.
Yeah, Grand Metalik will face the winner of Harv Sira and Drew Gulak, where Ho Ho Lun will face the winner of Noam Dar and Gurv Sira.
Yeah, so, they have time before they would ever fight each other.
Yeah.
So, this was kind of cool in knowing that we're already going to have one of the second round matches set up from the first episode.
Yeah.
Because the last match we had, awesome, good match to end the first episode on a super high note.
Yeah, it was kind of almost a mirror image of the first match.
Yeah.
With a guy who is so known for his amazing athletic ability, going against someone who's a little bit heftier, but is still able to move.
Yeah, and a relatively, a new coming guy onto the scene, and a relative unknown to like the WWE universe.
Absolutely.
You had Kota Ibushi, the Golden Star, one of the guys, one of the top 3 guys slated to win this whole tournament.
3-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion.
Yeah. And a guy who can put over a blow-up doll like nobody's business.
Yeah, check it out. It's on YouTube.
Versus Sean Maluta.
Yeah.
Of the Samoan wrestling heritage family.
Yeah, so right off the bat, Sean Maluta is bringing something because he's part of the biggest wrestling family there is.
Yeah, so I mean, whether or not you expect anything out of him, he would expect himself to do well because he has to represent.
Absolutely.
He's got relatives who are in WWE now with the Usos and Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. Not to mention other relatives who are WWE Hall of Famers and past WWE champions. So it's the one thing, it's the Samoan family, when a new wrestler shows up, they have kind of a big name to live up to.
Yeah. And so, and he, granted, he had one particular spot that didn't quite work for him.
But he
turned what could have been the shittiest situation possible into an extremely impressive one.
Yeah, he averted almost certain disaster by the skin of his teeth.
Yeah. He went for I guess like a somersault senton to the outside.
Like a somersault plancha over the top rope.
Yeah, it looked like he got caught up on the ropes, did a front flip onto the apron.
Yeah, he flipped so early that he came down feet first on the edge of the apron.
Yeah.
So he didn't even make it to the outside.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't clear the ring at all.
So he tumbles to the apron where he does another somersault onto the shoulder of Kota Ibushi, and then somersaults again when he hits the floor.
Yeah.
It was a miraculous save that...
From what looked like it was about to be a self-made pile driver to the apron.
Yeah, no, it could have spelled complete and utter disaster for him, but somehow he survived it and was still able to put on one hell of a show against Kota Ibushi. But Kota Ibushi, man, this guy is just unfucking real.
Yeah, everything he does, from his offensive maneuvers to the way he sells. When Maluda came down, he did a cool second rope lung blower.
Yeah.
Where he jumped off the second rope and caught Kota and pulled him back into a lung blower. And then Kota sold that with like a crazy backflip bump onto the neck.
Onto his neck. He just had surgery on his neck.
Yeah.
And that's where he bumps. The guy is insane. He did his triangle moonsault where he jumped from inside the ring to the turnbuckle, and not even using the springiness of the ropes. He's literally on the turnbuckle itself, which is stationary, and gets a beautiful moonsault. As he hits the moonsault, he back rolls right into a pose. Like, what? This guy is insane.
Yeah, I mean, just take for a second. I don't personally know anyone. I can't think of anyone I know in my head out of everyone I've ever met, except for maybe one or two people that I think could possibly have the agility and control and accuracy to slingshot themselves over the top rope and land with both feet on the middle turnbuckle.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic feat, and it paid off amazingly. Also, another credit to Sean Maluda hitting a fantastic super kick.
Yes.
It
was the best false finish of the night.
Yeah, absolutely, hands down, because he hit it so flush, and again, Kota Ibushi's ability to sell moves like that, he dropped like a sack of rocks. It was just out.
Like a sack of moldy tangerines.
Exactly. And Sean did, he kind of had like this whole, like, he bunched Kota Ibushi up.
He had a big like jackknife pin on him.
Yeah, and so there was so much weight, and we're like, no, whoa, okay, and Kota kicks out. We're like, holy shit, like that was so close, and it was just these first four matches. I'm already super impressed. But Sean Maluda ultimately gets hit with a big old roundhouse kick, and then Kota finishes him off with a sit-out last ride powerbomb.
Yeah, which was crazy because that's like the exact opposite of the entire game that Kota Ibushi was playing the entire match, which was all the strikes and high flying, being quick and being agile, and he ends it with a move where he picks the guy up powerbomb style, like over his head. Yeah. And powerbombs him.
It was an impressive show of strength, and once again, these guys keep you guessing. And that's one of
he's a triple threat in the Cruiserweight Classic.
Absolutely.
He's fast, he's agile, he's strong.
Yeah. So we have our first second round match already set. We're gonna have Kota Ibushi versus Cedric Alexander.
Yeah, that's gonna be a sick match.
I'm so excited for that. Two of my favorite guys in the tournament. I've never seen them face each other before.
I've never heard of it happening before.
It might have happened because Ring of Honor does deals with New Japan, but I don't know for sure. So this could be a first time ever.
Yeah. So quick, I'm going to put it to you. I'm going to ask you a question here. To you, maybe with the exception of the obvious, just because he was so over, Kota Ibushi, who to you was like a standout person out of the other wrestlers? You know, out of the 8 guys, who was a person who like really stood out to you in this opening episode?
I'd have to go with Alejandro Saez.
That would have been my answer too.
Just because, like we said, we didn't know what to expect, and we got more than we expected. He brought some. It's so hard to put into words because we didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, and for being an unknown guy from a background of, you know, being in a place where pro wrestling isn't a big deal, and being on the losing end of the match, it didn't take away from the fact at all that he had put on a really good performance.
No, this is a guy I'd love to see WWE sign him.
Yeah.
Because the fact that he's not going to get a lot of publicity in Chile, just because the pro wrestling scene is not really a thing down there. If you put him on a main stage, he will draw.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, he wasn't perfect
No.
in a lot of the stuff he did, but I mean, that's like one of the reasons why I definitely, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that he gets signed.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think a few months at the Performance Center would hone him into an awesome guy to see on NXT.
Yeah. No, he's got all the tools, and if he were able to get signed, being in the Performance Center with as much talent as they have, training him, anything that he could possibly need, he'd be a star in a couple years.
Yeah.
So, the 4 matches that we're going to be getting next week on our second edition of the Cruiserweight Classic, we'll have Tajiri taking on Damian Slater, TJ Perkins versus Damak, Mustafa Ali versus Lince Dorado, and Akira Tozawa versus Kenneth Johnson.
Yeah.
So, once again, you know, I think in every single one of these, we've got someone who we know versus someone we don't really know.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be extremely exciting to see how all of these matches play out. You can look forward to our CWC review coming out next week. That'll actually be our last video next week, as it comes out after our first ever end of the week wrap up. So I'm stoked for more.
Yeah.
Can we just release it all now? Because I want to watch it all now.
Once it's all out, it's definitely going to be a binge-worthy.
Oh yeah.
Thing on the network.
And it's going to have rewatch value like nobody's business.
Yeah.
So thanks for watching our first ever CWC review. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Comment what was your favorite match of this first episode?
Who do you think's going to win?
Who stood out? Post that in the comments. Let us know.
Click the links, because we've got different multiple social media accounts, and we like to talk to you guys. We like to interact. If you like to interact, I know we live in an age where everyone is like social hermits that live behind screens and do that all day long with the phones and computers and whatnot.
So that's even more reason to comment on stuff.
Yeah, so
and talk to us.
Let's socialize a little bit.
Let's talk wrestling.
Hey, how about it? That sounds like one of our email addresses.
Oh yeah. You might find that in the description with all the other
What?
stuff. So for
with
our
all those links.
Yes. For our usual reviews, if you want to listen to us podcast style, you can click the link down in the description. But if you do plan on watching the videos, check out that playlist. We've got all of them with the final SmackDown on Thursday coming up next.
Yeah.
The very last time we will end the week with SmackDown.
Unless they change it back.
Unless they change it again, which
potential.
Depends on how well SmackDown Live does next week.
Okay.
So be sure to check that out. Check out all the other reviews. Raw, midweek, talking about Ultima Luchados Night 2. Shinsuke versus Finn on NXT.
And 18 different wrestlers wrestled matches on main event.
Holy shit. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at whatever video you decide to watch next. can't say fuck anybody on this one.
No, not at all.
this one just deserves a normal outro. Well, I guess fuck somebody is